welcome in Sal Paolantonio, who's going to be with us throughout the week, of course. And Sal, you are with the Patriots. You're just at the team hotel. What is the latest on Drake Maye and that shoulder and the Patriots' mood?
Well, the Patriots have the day off. Very relaxed mood here at the Patriots Hotel in Santa Clara. We were just in the team hotel, and we saw a number of players get in cars and take off for the day and enjoy the day. It's a beautiful day here, as everybody knows, here in the South Bay, approaching 70 degrees, and they're happy to have the day off because it's back to work tomorrow on Wednesday at Stanford in Palo Alto for the first big practice of Super Bowl 60 week. But yesterday, on Monday, Drake Maye threw the football and was happy with his progress on his right shoulder. Listen to this.
I'll be just fine. Yeah, I threw a good bit. I threw as much as I would in normal practice, and felt great. And looking forward to getting back out there in the Wednesday and Thursday for practice again, and Friday, and get ready to get a normal week of prep.
Now, it's important to note that there was no pool reporter yesterday. Customarily, no pool reporter on Monday. So you didn't have a reporter to go out there and see how he was throwing, but I was told by everyone here that he looked good and that he was throwing freely with no problems. But on Wednesday, tomorrow, there will be a pool report, and we'll get an update on Drake Maye. We'll also get an injury and practice report. And I didn't go with the leather coats or jackets. I went with the cardigan, a little old school. Since this is my 34th Super Bowl,
Stylish.
I decided, get that relaxed look,
Sal, you can't hide class, and you got it going on. We love to see it.
Sal always look good.
All right, during the regular season, the Seahawks defense had the 5th best pressure percentage in the NFL. We want to spend some time on this. More than a third of all opponents' dropbacks. In the playoffs, they've actually upped their game there a little, but they are blitzing far less. That could spell an issue for Drake Maye, who is getting sacked 5 times a game this postseason. Mina, when you look at this matchup, specifically between that Seattle D-line and the Patriots O-line, how much trouble is Maye in?
It's concerning. I mean, Drake Maye's taken so many sacks, and I think what's most concerning is of those 15 sacks, 11 have come with just a 4-man rush. As you laid out, Seattle doesn't blitz very much outside of 3rd and long, and the 4-man rush has been really good. It's different from the ones New England has faced. It's not like Houston where they're just kind of the dominant edge rushers, but I think they're built in a way to take advantage of some of the, I would say, the core problems that have plagued the Patriots. So the left side of the Patriots offensive line has been an issue. It's very young. Seattle, maybe they don't have a dominant edge rusher, but they're so good at overloads and also moving their pieces around the defensive tackles, Leonard Williams in particular, aligning him to basically hunt your weakness. Yeah. And then the other thing they do is they speed you up. They may not blitz a lot, but they sure as hell make it look like they're going to blitz. Buddy. So as a quarterback, even though only 4 are coming, you're constantly thinking, oh, shoot, we got, there's an overload on the left side. I got to get this ball out hot. And then you don't, and then suddenly you got big bodies in your throwing windows. So even if the 4-man rush, they don't have Will Anderson, Danielle Hunter Jr., you could argue they're just as dangerous in a different way.
Yeah, those 15 sacks are the most a quarterback has ever had that's made it to the Super Bowl.
That's crazy.
The most. I think Joe Burrow a couple years ago had that 13 and made it. So realistically, the New England Patriots, because of all that, shouldn't even be here when it comes to at least that statistic. I think we get caught up in talking about pressures or fronts, and we only think it's passing situations and 3rd downs. When you're going against Seattle, it has to be an every down thing for New England. So, number one, how do they handle the interior part of their defensive line? Byron Murphy and Leonard Williams, I think you got to trap them. I think you got to wham them in the run game. That's going to be a big deal. I think, 2, you got to screen them and draw them on 2nd downs. This defensive front, if you just allow them to play one-dimensional, they're going to get after you. I think the third thing is, you talked about the overload, Mina. I think you always got to send numbers to the overload and chip the backside. You have to help. And obviously it's all tied together. But if New England thinks, oh, we'll just have a focus of pressure or front on 3rd down, the 1st and 2nd down, you get eaten.
But also those pressure release valves, they tackle so well. So you get the ball out in space and suddenly the guy's being taken down.
Well, the hybrid helps them play that way, Nick, and Maury. But I'm a RC, this you.
Yeah, go ahead,
Oh,
RC.
wait, I thought Marcus was going.
No, listen, it doesn't matter. We're living free and loose.
You know, I just said something.
Scary, but
Honestly, when you look at this team, they pressured at the third lowest rate of any team in all of the NFL, and you saw the numbers, only 13% in the playoffs. But I want them to up that, especially on 3rd and long, because Nick Eamon is such a large piece of what they can do up front. Here, this is the middle of the season, and you're going to see them bring Nick Eamon into position to blitz, and we're going to drop Drake Thomas, and he's going to be the vertical hook. You see here, because of the way they align, the threat of pressure to the top of the field, Tyler Algier goes left first, and he's too late to get back down to get to Nick Eamon. Now you're going to see Julian Love, who is healthy once again. And this is just a 5-man rush. It's a fire zone, so you can have eyes on Drake Maye, and it gives them an opportunity to put pressure on the quarterback before he can identify where the open man or the vacated zone is. And once again, bringing Nick Eamon and Kobe Bryant from the bottom of the screen, and you're going to add Tyree Snipe to the blitz, and it's a free hitter on Jacoby Brissett. When you look at what the Patriots have dealt with in the playoffs, it has been a ton of 4-man rush, but I do believe on 3rd and medium to long, you can get pressure on Drake Maye and maybe force him into some mistakes.
Would you do it on early downs, though, 1st and 2nd for Seattle?
Well, it depends on the way that Josh McDaniels is calling the game. He's played everything so close to the vest in the playoffs because they've played so well defensively. And so you're going to have to get into run blitzes if you're going to blitz on those early downs.
Speaking of that, I mean, look, the opportunistic shots is what stands out for me with this offense. They've been able to convert in critical situations, critical down and distance, and it is quite frankly, is why they won games.
Oh, yeah.
Both of these games in the playoffs. How will you be able to eliminate that? I use the Houston Texans defense because I remember Puka Nacua running a crosser and being open against Seattle. Will the DBs make these plays or will they give up these plays? And that to me is what Seattle is. You're not going to methodically move the ball on Seattle's defense.
Right.
You have to be explosive. And that's why we left the game last week when they played the Rams. Those were explosive offensive plays that they were able to score on or either getting down in distance. New England has kind of lived on that edge here for the last 2 playoff games that they've been in. And granted, it's been very similar. He had Patrick Surtain. He tried that. But then they went to the other side, hit a big 3rd down. Max Hollins' big 3rd down catch. You look at the Houston game. We talked about Stingley. RC hit him down the sideline late in that game. There will be a time or two where these opportunistic shots come, and who's going to make the play. And with this defense, you got to be very cautious because they are going to do it.
I'll be interested to see if they single them up often.
Also, too, though, the other thing, they play so much zone, so I don't expect it. And when you look at them, it's going to be who do you take the shot on? If I'm Josh McDaniels, I'm looking at Reek Woolen and Josh Jobe, right? If those are guys I can get in one-on-ones that we think we can run by them in some of these zones.
Create those opportunities. Seattle's going to play a lot of split safety, cover 4, cover 6. Get the safety to come down and get those one-on-ones, whether it's like Booty versus Woolen.
Matt Collins.
Yeah. And, you know, it was interesting, too, because obviously their last game against the Texans, you saw these guys that, you know, they're dealing with a really difficult defense. Drake Maye said one of the big emphasis for him was getting in and out of the huddle as quickly as possible. Against a defense like that, you got to communicate well. You got to think that factors in, too, with this Seattle defense. You know what? Sam Darnold does have some swag. He probably didn't get enough credit for it.
Big flannel guy.
Right. Okay, he's been one of the best quarterbacks. This will give you swag. Throwing downfield this season, including the playoffs. He has the lowest off-target percentage and the 2nd best completion percentage on throws of at least 20 yards this season. Okay, he will face a Patriots defense on Sunday that allowed a 29% completion rate on throws this season. On those throws, the 3rd lowest rate in the league. So stingy on that side. As we now welcome in Jeff Darlington, who's going to be covering the Seahawks for us all week long, and they're getting ready for Super Bowl 60. But Jeff, it was a decision that they made about a year ago at their team facility, thousands of miles away, that really propelled them to get to this point. Tell us more about that.
Well, Laura, this marks a sort of anniversary of sorts for wide receiver Cooper Kupp, thinking back to a year ago, exactly on this day, February 3rd, when he had posted to social media about the Rams' decision to seek a trade partner for Kupp. Now, Kupp had said at the time, I don't agree with the decision, and I always believed it was going to begin and end in L.A. Now, the Rams ultimately could not find a trade partner, and they released Kupp. And it was shortly after that Seahawks head coach Mike Macdonald recalls reaching out to Kupp about joining the Seahawks a decision he recalled just a few moments ago.
You knew Cooper Kupp through his reputation. Jake Peets is on our staff. He's got a great relationship with Cooper. When it was first, we made it a point to, I think whenever the first time we were actually allowed to reach out to Coop, I had him on the line and just said, look, we don't get a lot of opportunities to really acquire a player like you. He's the term force multiplier. He's that with the receiver room. You can see it with the effect with a lot of our guys. That's rippled all the way throughout the whole team. Offense, defense, special teams, all three phases. He's helped me. And then to see him make plays in the championship game.
So literally about 10 minutes ago, I was asking Kupp about those comments, and I asked him to reflect on the year that has been. And he talked about what a challenge it was. He never really thought he was going to leave the Rams. He talked about what it was like to have to go to his family and to his kids and say, we're moving to a new place. And by the way, a place that we used to play twice a year as a member of the Rams. He said that ultimately he does feel rewarded. He feels vindicated by this step, but he said that's all going to be for another day to reflect upon. For right now, it's about potentially winning another Super Bowl, a Super Bowl which, by the way, he was the MVP of just 4 short years ago, Laura.
Cooper Kupp's been through a lot this season, as Jeff alluded to, and he takes the time to actually credit Sam Darnold's resiliency for inspiring him throughout some of his personal struggles this year. Dan, so much on Seattle's offense to get into. They've had success with 12 personnel this season. What will that look like, though, specifically against this Patriots defense?
I would be interested to see how New England handles it. Will they handle it by matching personnel or by being very down and distance centric? Because I think the challenge with Seattle's 12 personnel is they can do so much out of it. They can get easy completions, can run the football, they move those tight ends, they get that keeper game where they will run this 5 times a game, some version of this where Sam Darnold gets out on the perimeter. And again, going to his left makes this a little bit unique. There's that 12 personnel once again. Sam now in the pistol. It's the same concept essentially for a quarterback to read deep, intermediate, and shallow, and then the ability to still line up underneath the center and take the shots down the field. This is one of the greatest offenses or best offenses in the league when it comes to, hey, 12 personnel, we want to take a shot down the field. And so when New England play with 3 linebackers on the field, will they keep it nickel? Will it be, hey, if it's 1st and 10, we want to play against the pass. If it's 2nd and 6, we want to put backers on the field to defend against the run. I just think how New England matches it from a personnel standpoint pre-snap is going to be fascinating.
I love that we're having this conversation now because you guys remember it's how we started the season, talking about 12 personnel. And Seattle, to me, is the case study for why you can be so explosive out of it. When they use it, and they used it at a pretty high level in terms of around the NFL, they have a 46% play action rate. That is more than 4 times how much they call play action out of 11 personnel. And when they throw play action out of 12 personnel, they average 13 yards of play.
Wow.
So it is how 13 yards of play, Dan. So it is how they access a lot of those explosives. Some of that is because they get defenses to put their base personnel, to your point about how they're matched. So we talked about at the beginning of the season, you put heavy bodies on the field. That's not just allowing them to throw on the linebackers with their tight ends. It also creates one-on-ones. They call so many deep crossing concepts off of those 12 personnel looks. So if you're in New England, you're thinking, okay, we're not going to put 3 linebackers on the field.
But then you're dead in the run game.
And then Seattle, 12 personnel, the run game on nickel, 58% success rate running out of those, which is really, really good. They're 2 tight ends. They're not huge names, Barner and Saubert.
Awesome.
They're all around tight ends. They are passing threats when they're open, and they're good blockers. So it creates this personnel matching problem for New England that, candidly, I don't know how I would solve.
Yeah.
What age do you turn after 12?
13.
13. And that's been something that they've been super explosive out of as well. 2 weeks off. I got to think that they want to show that look. There is a significant amount of success that this team has when they're in 13. They don't do it a lot. But early in the season, I went back to the Houston game because that's the comparable defense to when you start talking about how New England would maybe try to play this by getting extended into the block. And you force this team, like y'all said, you either in base or you in nickel. I'm sure you want to play 13 with base, and you still have the run game out of this. But this is those tight ends that you just mentioned, Mina, that can get to the 2nd and 3rd level and make plays. I think it creates 2 for Sam Darnold, easy, quick reads, because the defense in alignment in base as well. I brought this graphic because I thought it was super interesting going back and looking throughout the season. Week 1 through 7, it was 24 snaps
total
of 13 in total. Week 8 to the division round, only 9. It showed back up last week in the NFC Championship.
Tight end, that helps.
Exactly. So I think a lot of it really boils down to now with New England and the addition of Arroyo, who we saw catch that pass, you also have to plan for that as well with the success that they've had in 12 personnel. And one thing that has been really good about Seattle offensively, they've dictated a lot of your personnel from a defensive standpoint all season long.
Well, I think the first thing is you have to play to your strengths as well. When you're a good defense, you play what you're best in. And if you watch this team, they've kept linebackers on the field and they've been able to play the pass and vice versa. But the problem for them is nobody dangles chunk plays out there like the New England Patriots. And nobody hunts chunk plays like the Seattle Seahawks. To me, that's where this game is going to be won or lost. When you watch the playoffs, there were opportunities for teams, whether it's the Chargers, the Texans, or the Denver Broncos, to take shots over the top. They just couldn't connect outside of the one we watched Stidham hit to Marvin Mims. That is going to be the game for me. Christian Gonzalez and Carlton Davis and Marcus Jones have stood up the entire playoffs, but they haven't played a team, in my opinion, who can find chunk plays out of 12 personnel the way that the Seattle Seahawks can.
Really quick, I do think the return of Robert Spillane allows them to defend the run better out of nickel. I would over-index on coverage if I were them.
I wouldn't be surprised if we just saw a little bit of that 6-1 look that we saw from New England years ago against the Rams, where you keep the backers on the field, they can play the edges but also get into coverage. I just wouldn't be shocked by that.
I think that makes it difficult because this team passes to the flat so well. Right. And so now
game is so good
exactly.
Right now.
So now when you have that six-man box,
also,
you can get the ball to the perimeter so quickly.
Run concepts. That was like designed to stop outside zone. Seattle can say, "Cool, we're going to hit you with some gaps, some wham air traffic."
And handling pressure. I think we see Shaheed get the ball early and often, quickly in this football game as well.